Welcome to the latest episode of Don't Work with Tossers, the podcast that will help rid tossers from your life and improve your work-life blend. And today I have not one, but two guests with me in the studio. Thank you for joining me today, Rachel and Mark Peru.
It's a pleasure. This is going to be exciting, isn't it?
It is,
I'm really
isn't
looking
it?
forward to it.
So we are... it's an interesting title, and you will find out why we've chosen it when you hear more about Mark and Rachel's recent new project. Is project the right word for it, possibly? Well, you can describe it. But this episode is entitled Don't Be a Tosser, Support Your Wife's Dreams. And some of that comes from Rachel's decision in her later 40s. I know she doesn't look that old, in her later 40s to change career. Rachel, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I started a new career as a model at 46. But when I say a new career modelling, I thought it would be like QVC lifestyle work, which is great. But I actually ended up within the first year modelling swimwear at 47. And I'm now known for mainly modelling lingerie. So at 52, I was across the country in Revissimo shop windows in my bra and knickers. And I'm proud to be able to represent older women in lingerie and big campaigns across the country. So, yeah. But I would never have done this when I was younger. I wouldn't have had the confidence. So it's great to do it now.
And I think you don't just do that, though, do you? Actually, before I go on to any other subjects, we need to expand on that slightly. You have your own podcast.
I do, yeah. So I because I was starting out later in life in this new career, I was really inspired by other women my age that were going off and reinventing themselves. And you don't often find those stories in the media as much. So I started a podcast called Liberty Free to Be, which is a platform for women to share their stories. So it's women over 40 that have struggled, that have overcome hurdles, reinvented themselves, just to share that positivity and to show that age is not a barrier. You can start anything new at any age.
Yeah, and I think we need to remember that, because I think there is so much, as you do, a lot around body confidence and helping women with their confidence, and you've just done an amazing Find Your Midlife Magic event with Annie Sturck, Christine Talbot and Bernadette Gledhill. Your partners in not crime, but my God, what a force to be reckoned with you for. So tell us about the event that you've just done.
Yeah, but it came about because the four of us we'd all worked together in different ways over the years, but we've started meeting for coffee, and the subjects always came up around the usual subjects around midlife, and we're all going through similar things. And we get a lot of comfort from those conversations. So we thought, actually, how good would it be to create an event where we can share all this with other like-minded women? So we created Find Your Midlife Magic. We had 100 women at Goldsborough Hall, and we had celebrity guest speakers. So we had Gaynor Faye come and talk about her experiences in midlife. And obviously, she sadly lost her mum. So lots of people could relate to the grief that often happens in midlife. But also we had celebrity hairstylist Andrea Barton, who gave us all lots of great tips on looking after your hair through the menopause. And it was just a great day to get all these women together and share stories and learn from one another. It was really empowering.
Unfortunately, I couldn't come, and if there's ever any social media that has given me FOMO, it was that event. It's like...
There'll be another one. You can come next time.
Good, because I just don't... Mark, Rachel's talked about taking on a new career in her 40s. I've only done one lingerie modelling event, which was inspired by your wife. But I know from my own experience, when I told my husband and my two sons, so it was 2019, 4 years ago, my eldest son is now 31, my youngest son is 25, and I said, I'm going to walk around the Hotel Divan in Harrogate in a bra and knickers. I had an element of raised eyebrows and comments made. And I love the fact that you support Rachel in what she does. But has that come with its own challenges for you, or for maybe the odd tosser who's had an opinion about what Rachel's doing and why you've allowed her, and I do that. For those that are listening to this, that's me putting it in inverted commas, because she shouldn't need to be allowed. But we've talked quite a bit about society and how that's brought to us. Tell us about your...
First of all, I wouldn't say it's something that's come as a problem to me. She's a model. She models clothes. She'll model dresses, but she'll model swimwear as well. And women wear swimwear, right? So when you go to a beach, you see women in bikinis and swimwear. So she's advertising a brand, perhaps for Instagram or for whatever. And she does it very well, in my opinion. Lots of other people think she does it. She does it very well as well. So for me, it's never been a problem. I do know, just from talking to other men in a male environment, for example, they may say something about another celebrity, maybe an older celebrity, wearing something, and they will make a little snidey comment, and it might be a derogatory comment saying, "Oh, she's too old to be wearing that." Kim Cattrall was I think it was in the Times or the Telegraph last week, in swimwear, and you just read the comments from men and women, and they're so derogatory, and I find that really, really hard to deal with and hard to understand. Why you would say that in the first place, and secondly, why shouldn't she wear nice lingerie or a nice swimsuit? I think it's a societal thing. People have been brainwashed almost into what an older woman should look like and what they should wear. They shouldn't go grey. They should dye their hair and all this kind of stuff, which is just absolute nonsense.
We didn't get that memo, did we, Rachel?
No, we didn't.
Either
We
of
missed
us.
that one.
yours went a beautiful silver colour. Mine's gone a slightly different. But men, I mean, Mark, you're great.
Silver
My
fox.
husband is as well. And, I think I absolutely, I am empowered, inspired, all those words that I would use by Rachel and others like her. But obviously Rachel, I have the pleasure of knowing, and... But I also agree with you, and we talked in Victoria's episode about gender equality. And I think that, for me, this is a big part of that, and it's back to society and how society perceive. And I think, again, that's part of the problem that we face. And it's my belief that... I was involved with Kate Hardcastle, which I think is actually how we first got to know each other, with Kate Hardcastle's positive image campaign. And I very much believe that we should become those role models for our daughters. I don't have daughters, I know you do, but I have granddaughters, and it's about being able to do those things so that they see that it's okay to do that. Interestingly, this weekend we've been in the Lake District, and I went paddleboarding with my 9-year-old granddaughter, and we were in our wetsuits, and we paddleboarded across Derwent Water to go for a hot chocolate. And I said, "Oh, should we go in this coffee shop and get a hot chocolate?" And she said, "Nanny, what will people say if we're in our wetsuits?" And I turned to her and I said, "Maisie, I don't really care what people will say if we're in our wetsuits." And she went, "Oh, okay then." But she actually, because even at her age, with the way, you got to look like this, or she does a lot of dance, she enters a lot of dance competitions, you have to have this stereotypical look and how, and I think, it's like an age thing, an appearance, and if we don't give young people that body confidence. I worked with a group of year 9 and 10-year-olds at a secondary school who were all struggling with that very thing. And all of them, one of the big issues that school had with them was they all wanted to go to school wearing makeup, and the school rule said that they shouldn't go to school wearing makeup. So I did 10 weeks with them, not wearing, I don't wear a lot of makeup anyway, but not wearing any makeup, so they could see it was all right. But again, I think it's what you say, Mark, and I think it is also... she shouldn't be wearing that at that age. Why? If she's happy and confident to wear what she wants to wear. Oh, and that's not she as in Rachel. That is she as the big, wider she of women.
Yeah, and I think it's quite sad that young girls of 7 or 8 see these images on TV of so-called celebrities, whether it's Love Island or whatever TV program it is, and on social media in particular, and they feel like if they don't have that particular look, then there's something almost wrong with them, and it's quite sad. It's very sad, really, and I think it seems to be getting worse. Whereas you would think with, we're 2023 with education and, the freedom of, and women are becoming more and more, I don't want to say with the word prominent, but women are becoming more vocal, and I think rightly so, talking about things that affect their life, like the menopause, whereas before it wasn't spoken about. It's only recently in big corporate companies that they now have people who deal with mental health issues, and with they have menopause coaches and all this kind of stuff, which is, I think, really important, because it's something that all women will go through pretty much. And a lot of men, maybe I might overhear somebody saying, "Oh, my wife's going through the menopause, she's a bit loopy, she's crazy." Well, she's not, though, is she? She's going through something that men don't have to deal with. If men did have to deal with, you can bet it would be sorted out in a heartbeat. But it's not.
Yeah.
We're outnumbered in this room. There are 2 guys behind the camera, and Rachel and I are outnumbered. And every time we mention women and some of their actions through menopause or hormones, Danny and James nod their heads up and down and start laughing. It's been interesting as these conversations.
You know what I find really interesting there? That the criticism, if I ever do get any criticism about stuff that I'm posting on social media, usually comes from other women. It's not from men. It's usually other women pulling me up saying, "You're too old to wear that. Why do you feel the need to show yourself in lingerie?" Completely missing the point of why I'm doing it, because I'm doing it to celebrate my body, because I know what journey I've been on and I feel good in my body now. And why shouldn't we not? We need to normalise seeing older bodies. It's not something we should be made to feel ashamed of. And I want to, so if I can have one woman go in my inbox and say, "I wore a bikini on the beach today because I've seen you and I've been following you and I'm inspired by you," that's me worth doing. But lots of women out there still have massive insecurities about it, and then portray it on you by shedding their negativity. But it is usually women.
Yeah, and I find that interesting, because on the one occasion that I did walk around in a bra and knickers on a fashion show, I had a lady come up to me at the end of it and say thank you. I don't go to the gym. I'm not good at it. I do walk and exercise, and but she said, the fact that you walked out there with your natural body and you weren't afraid to do it. Now, this was way out of my comfort zone, and I'm quite happy to stand on a stage and talk to 500, 1,000 people. That's not a problem. But it was a personal goal I set myself, and thanks to your inspiration and Jane at Sheer Bliss for giving me the opportunity, I did it. But that lady saying what she did made a huge difference. And I think we should be supporting, we should be each other's cheerleaders. Absolutely. For those things. And actually, it's like you say, and I think Anne Chander said in her episode, tossers are not just men.
No, yeah.
They come in all genders.
Yeah, they do.
And actually, there are certain things where they become their tosser traits become even more apparent. And I think in a lot of the work that you do, that is one of those, that is really one of those things. And people can be so bitter. I received a comment about the fact that I'm using the word tosser in the title. Dawn French has just launched a book called The Twat Files.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, I absolutely love it. And I was listening to an Instagram reel yesterday about her saying about, well, we can all be a twat. And I'm like, yeah, we can all be a tosser. We talked about that in episode 1. But actually, I think the fact that I think it's interesting, because the title of this episode is, well, as most titles have been to these podcast episodes, it's a little bit tongue in cheek, because we know how these things go. But actually, when we get to midlife, we are, I'm sorry, but I'm going to do my thing now. I'm hosting this
Absolutely.
podcast because actually, people said, don't work with tossers, the podcast, the title. Yeah. Sorry. I really, really don't care because, the problem with tossers can often be that they put you off doing things.
Yeah, and actually I think there's a bit of defiance as you get older. It's if somebody's tried to put me in a box and tells me I can't do something, it makes you want to do something even more. It's just,
absolutely. I love that look that Mark gave you then. I hope we got that on camera.
I think Mark dreads me saying, I've had an idea.
Oh, well, interestingly, Neil, my husband, for a couple of years, about 6 years ago, banned me from saying, he told me to go away into another room. When I came up, I've had an idea. Can you just go and sit down in the other room and think it through before you come back and tell me what it is? Because it was like, no, not again. We don't need any more of your ideas. Heaven help us getting together. If we both have an idea at the same time, Rachel, that could be it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, maybe us men just need to have our own ideas as well. Maybe we don't come up with them enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, but you have recently had an idea, haven't you, Mark? You've stepped away from your the job, the career you had for 30.
Nearly 40 years. I mean, I'm from London originally, worked in banking and financial services for best part of 40 years. Last contract came to an end. And I wouldn't say the last 10 years of that's probably since I moved up to Yorkshire, my career as such, I just had enough of it, to be honest, in London. And it was tiring, it was stressful, it was draining, it was...
Well, you were commuting as well, weren't you? Because when we first met, we met on Match.com. So Mark was in London and I was in Yorkshire. So every other weekend, we used to commute to each other. Yeah. And then even after we got married, you worked in London Monday to Friday and came up at weekends. That's tiring, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was, from a mental point of view, mental health point of view, I found it really stressful. And I did develop anxiety and... it manifested itself in back pain and other stuff, and I felt like I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning, and it was because I was away from Rachel and away from the kids and everything else, and I just found it too stressful. So when the contract came to an end, I thought, right, now's the opportunity to try and do something completely different. What do we both love? We get on so well. We're like two peas in the pod. We love travel. We love to experience new cultures, new people, new food, all that kind of stuff. So it's okay. Let's try and channel our energies into something like that. But it's not as easy as you might think. It's great. Yes, let's go off and travel. But you need to have some sort of financial security behind you. So we're, the house is on the market. We want to sell the house so we can pay off the mortgage and pay off a few debts, and then things will be a little easier. But then life comes along, and then your mum's not being well.
So my mum's not being well, so then that's back to the kind of that sandwich generation where we've had not to put a halt on things. We're still going to do the things we want to do, but for the time being, my mum's not well enough for me to be able to just go off and travel for 2 months at a time and not be around. So it does mean we've had to kind of readdress things a bit, which is hard because I feel like we've just got the momentum and we've got all this going on, and then it's like somebody puts the brakes on you, and that's hard to adjust to actually without feeling frustrated, disappointed, but you just have to work around it. So we are going to we've still got the house on the market, we're still going to do the things we want to do, but for now we're going to try and explore Yorkshire. We're going to just do things that are more home-based, so we still do the travelling until there's such a time when we can have that freedom to go and drive to Morocco for 3 months and do what we want to do. So it'll happen, but it's going to take longer than we anticipated.
Yeah, and it's, in some ways it's probably not a bad thing that it's going to take a bit longer because we get to hone our craft, and, we did the Route YC, we did the YouTube, we've written a couple of blogs about the Maldives as well. So we're kind of getting used to that new arena for us. It's new for us. It's new technology for us to learn.
The change is scary though, isn't it?
It's scary, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, it is.
And it can be frustrating because you say, okay, only 10 people have looked at the video. You think, well, that's not how it works. The other people that we watch have got hundreds of thousands following them.
I know that feeling.
But it all takes
How many people have downloaded this podcast? Really? Oh, yeah. I thought it might be more than that. Yeah, because so the whole new thing for you is free to be.
Yes. And
I do think that comes back to what we talk about age, midlife. I'm 55. My husband's 57. We sold our house that had been our family home for 25 years at the beginning of this year as part of a downsizing, bigger life plan. And what I want to do, because I'm in a situation where I work for myself and can work my work-life blend as a work-life blend coach, well, I'm happy to work and live life wherever I can. Neil's not in that same position. So, but again, as you say, then somebody... we've both got both sets of parents in their 80s, which we know we're absolutely blessed with. And we have grandchildren. And I know we've had this conversation. And we don't want to be away from them all the time. But also we want to live our life because we are only 55 and 57.
Yeah.
And as we know from the life we've lived and the things we've done, and, you know, the more you do, the more you go out there, the more you get involved with different things, you also know that life is very short. We've lost friends and loved ones at a young age, and you want to be able to live that life that you want. You want to be able to go to those places you want to visit and follow those dreams and have those opportunities, and free to be whatever you want to be. And that is, but as you say, it's not always as easy, because life has its way of, and we can't even blame tossers for that. It's just life.
It's just life. It's just the way it is, you know. And I'm super grateful that I can be here for my mum. So there's that side of things as well. You know, I'm really grateful that I could be around and help her. But we know, because Mark and I met later in life. So I was 41, you were 43, 44. And so Mark, you know, inherited 3 young children, and as part of the baggage, and which has been an amazing relationship. But now they've come out the other end and they've gone off and done their own thing. It is our time now. So there is that feeling of, well, you know, what do we want to do in the next chapter? I went to somebody's 100th funeral a few months ago, which was amazing. And I was sat there thinking, they had another 50 years of where I am now. What else can I do with it? And so there is that feeling of what else can we do with our lives? We don't have to just settle like our parents probably did. And I think that's what free to be is for us. It's, okay, what can we explore? What do we want to do?
I think the word retirement is a horrible word. I think, and it was Siobhan Daniels, who you know. I don't know if you know Siobhan.
No, I do.
So in one of her Instagram posts, I think she said, instead of, I'm not retired, I'm refired. And I thought, I'm having that. I'm going to nick that. So I hope she doesn't mind.
I'm sure she won't.
I did comment on it and say, I like that, I'm going to use that.
And wherever she might be in her motorhome, I hope she's maybe listening to this, that she's inspired you to. And I agree. People talk to me about retirement, and I'm like, I don't think I ever want to retire, which is really why I'm putting the stuff in place to be able to do the work-life blend coaching and do the other stuff that I do. So I can do what I want to do, because part of the work-life blend program that I've created, Element 3 talks about finances, and you've already touched on it. You know, we're selling the house, we want to pay off our mortgage. We've done that bit. That was part of our But at the end of the day, we do need money to be able to do this, and we also need an element of financial security, because otherwise we have financial stress, and actually that can play a huge part in impacting our mental health and how we are caused to worry about things in a different way. And I think it's so important that we can have these dreams, but we also have to be realistic around it as well, don't we?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the good thing for me, is I can still model wherever I am. So that's a big bonus, isn't it? 'Cause it
And
means
whatever
that,
age you are.
and whatever age I am, yeah, I don't plan on retiring from the modelling at all. I want to carry on working as long as I can, and maybe I will still model lingerie in my 70s. Who knows? We'll see. But that won't be determined by how old I am.
No, that won't be determined
No.
by how old you are. Unfortunately, that will be determined by a whole load of other things that we hope, in 20 years from now. Because two of the other people that you did find your midlife magic with, Bernadette and Annie, they both model, don't
Well,
they?
yeah, Annie didn't start her modelling career till she was 70, which I love. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Rachel, Mark, thank you for being my guests today on Don't Work with Tossers, the podcast. And free to be. I absolutely love it. And midlifers, there is midlife magic for us all. And don't let the tossers stop you fulfilling your dreams.